This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
And right now, parts of the area getting a chance to dry out after some heavy downpours. And look at that, what happened. Thankfully, no one was inside that camper as it was just crushed by that bridge. This was in Peking, Indiana. So thank goodness it was just swept away, then smashed, but no one inside.
And take a look at this picture from Charlestown. This was sent to us by Roger. Part of his yard, it looks like a creek. That rushing water just absolutely took over. Scary moments there, plus more rain in the forecast today.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And Marissa's going to have more in just a little bit on a story she's been working on. But so we had a record amount of rain come down in the metro.
Yeah, 1.64 inches of rainfall yesterday. Ooh. So it was an incredible amount of rainfall, and we're going to look at more of that rain as the day continues. Now, it's not going to be nonstop rain, which is certainly some good news. However, you still want to make sure that you are weather aware. So the flood watch that has been allowed to expire. Good news there. Also seeing that flood advisory for those of you in Hart County, that was allowed to expire. But we're still watching the flood advisories in the northern portions of Adair County. And then the other one that is for those of you in eastern parts of Shelby County and into Franklin County. So keep in mind, this is where we're seeing some more of those showers and thunderstorms moving through. A little bit drier into Adair County right now, which is good news. But some spotty showers and storms from the very southern portions of LaRue County all the way up towards Springfield and Willisburg, getting in on some of these downpours. One lonely downpour in the very southern parts of Bullitt County, but heavy rainfall still going on in Franklin County. And by the way, for those of you in Shelby and Franklin counties, this flood advisory does last until 9 a.m. Eastern time. A couple more isolated showers showing up south of LaGrange, so we'll watch those. And then we'll see a few more of these isolated downpours anywhere from near Bedford towards Scottsburg and towards Madison as well. The reason that we have all of this going on, this front setting up shop across our region for today. This is what's going to keep those rounds of rain in our forecast. We're getting in on some beautiful conditions, though, outside of that mix of sun and clouds across the region to start off the day for those of you not dealing with the rain. Now, we are going to be keeping an eye on more rounds of showers and thunderstorms as we get into this afternoon and into later on this evening as well. Let you know how much rain some of you could see in my full forecast.
Thanks, Tawana. And developing this morning, police say a man is now critical after he was shot several times. LMPD says it happened around 4 a.m. on Moore Court, not far from the Park Hill Community Center. The man is right now in the hospital, and police are looking for the shooter. If you have any information, call 574-LMPD. Following the conviction of 3 men in the death and disappearance of Crystal Rogers, her family is still looking for justice for her father.
Tommy Ballard's family is upping its reward offer for anyone who helps find and convict the people responsible for his death. Ballard's son posted a video saying the family's new reward offer is $50,000. The FBI's reward is $10,000 for information. In November of 2016, Ballard was shot and killed while hunting on family property in Bardstown with his 12-year-old grandson. No one has been charged in Ballard's death. During a hearing in Crystal's case, though, prosecutors revealed they believe they have the gun used to shoot Ballard, and they bought it from Brooks Houck's brother, Nick Houck, a former Bardstown police officer. Brooks Houck was recently convicted for his role in the disappearance of Ballard's daughter, Crystal Rogers. The Department of Justice is no longer recommending that Brett Hankison go to prison.
The former LMPD officer was found guilty of violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights the night she died. In a new motion, federal prosecutors recommended Brett Hankison get credit for time served, pay a $100 fine, and serve 3 years of supervised release. A jury says Hankison violated Taylor's civil rights when he blindly fired into her apartment in 2020. The U.S. Probation Office previously recommended a prison sentence of up to 14 years. DOJ prosecutors say Hankison has no prior convictions, and they believe that he would be a target in custody because of his ties in this case. Hankison is set to be sentenced next week. Mayor Craig Greenberg is responding to the DOJ's recommended sentence for Hankison. He said he believes his actions deserve a serious punishment, saying since Taylor's death, Louisville has taken significant steps toward healing and reform. That work is far from over. I remain fully committed to advancing that work to ensuring accountability and safety for all.
Cases for 3 other officers charged in Taylor's death are are still moving through the court system, though. Kelly Goodlett has not been sentenced yet. She pleaded guilty to a conspiracy charge, admitting that she met with case partner Joshua Janes to talk about what they would tell investigators digging into the warrant that was used to enter Breonna Taylor's home in 2020. Joshua Janes and Kyle Meany still face their own federal charges. And there have been a number of pieces of legislation put into place since Breonna Taylor's death, including the banning of no-knock warrants in the metro. The law requires officers to identify themselves and their purpose before serving a warrant. Her death also led to a DOJ investigation into LMPD that highlighted their use of excessive force, invalid warrants, unlawful stops, and discrimination. A negotiated consent decree was dismissed in December by the Department of Justice, ending the federal oversight that was put into place. City leaders say they are committed to reform efforts and put together their own agreement. The Metro is now searching for an independent monitor to oversee that agreement.
This morning, a man's in jail after police say he shot his roommate. LMPD says David Wheatley and the victim got into a fight over some missing property last month at a home on Holsclaw Hill Road. Police say Wheatley took out a gun and shot the victim in the chest 3 times. That roommate survived, though. Wheatley is charged with assault. LMPD says Wheatley also has warrants for several other crimes where he is a suspect. Long lines, difficulty securing appointments, plus the new vision requirements. It's really made trying to get licenses or permits a headache. And Governor Beshear has now announced a statewide event to try to take the pressure off of DMVs.
Today, parents and their soon-to-be teen drivers can sign up for an appointment to get their permits. Wave News reporter Marissa Burke joining us now with more on what parents and teens need to know. Marissa?
If your kid needs to get their driver's permit, set a reminder for 2 p.m. today so you can log on to the online scheduling portal. The slots are for August 2nd at 12 locations across the Commonwealth. Those appointments are likely to fill up fast. More than 1,300 written permit test appointments will be available at several locations. In Louisville, the testing spot will be at Bowman Field. The slots are for that August date starting around 8 a.m. going until 4 p.m. This one-day event does not include road skills or CDL testing. State law requires applicants to be at least 15 years old. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear spoke about the process, and he has some advice for those seeking appointments.
I would really encourage people before you make your appointment to go online and to look at all the skip the line options. Listen, if you can afford to go get your eyes checked privately, do it, and you can do it all online. You can never go in. There is 0 line for you, and it will be incredibly easy.
In May, KSP and Kentucky's Transportation Cabinet reports giving 1,100 permit tests. That set a new record compared to their monthly statistics. As of mid-July, more than 17,000 15-year-olds have earned their permits. As a reminder, make sure you bring your birth certificate, not a photocopy of it, proof of Social Security, and a school compliance verification form. You can visit drive.ky.gov for more information. Marissa Burke, Wave News.
Thanks, Marissa. TARC is making schedule and operational changes impacting how people move around this city. One of the biggest changes they're making includes getting rid of stops around the NIA Center. TARC plans to sell that building, so anyone boarding or hopping off will have to do so near 28th and Broadway instead of in the parking lot behind the NIA Center building. TARC is also adjusting schedules on 10 routes to make them more consistent. Routes for buses around 4th and 6th Street will be changed. Some of TARC's limited service buses will also be rolled back. These changes go into effect August 3rd.
A new warning from police this morning who say thieves are finding new ways to break in and steal vehicles. This new alert is for owners of Dodge vehicles specifically. Councilman Kevin Bratcher says officers in his district have seen thieves taking pictures of a vehicle's VIN number. They'll then use it to create a key for that vehicle and come back later and steal the car. Police say if you see anyone in the area doing this, or if you happen to catch it on camera, you should report it to police. You can do that by calling the number on your screen. Reporting these crimes will also help police be on the lookout for car thefts in your area.
The Main Street and Story Avenue intersection in Nulu is back open. It follows weeks of construction work in the area. The reopening includes new and improved enhancements to make it safer and also more accessible. Some of the changes include the removal of the divider island, new traffic lights, wider sidewalks, and the addition of new bike lanes. The upgrades are also the beginning of a 2-way conversion on Main Street. We'll have more Wave Sunrise Extra ahead,
including how to stay safe when grilling out this summer. We'll be right back.
Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman is suing the Chinese online shopping platform Temu. Coleman claims Temu unlawfully collects user data without their knowledge or consent, which then allows the Chinese government to access that data. The AG also accused Temu of stealing the intellectual property of U.S.-owned companies and Kentucky brands like UK and U of L. Coleman's office also says Temu commits consumer fraud and orders items customers never asked for. Well, maybe you plan to throw some meat or some veggies on the grill this weekend.
Yeah, in just 2022 alone, an estimated 5,400 people, though, were sent to emergency rooms for gas and charcoal grill-related injuries. Not only that, grills can also pose a risk of fire and carbon monoxide poisoning, according to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. Doctors said July is the peak month for all grill injuries. They see everything from minor burns and, in some cases, even death.
People are mishandling the propane tank or pouring gasoline or lighter fluid directly into the grill, and they sort of have this back force of flame and fires.
Safety experts say only use grills outside in well-ventilated areas, never use them indoors or under a surface that can burn, and check the grill and all tools before using them and make sure there's no broken or leaking gas hoses. Also, some good advice, never leave a hot grill unattended. That would certainly ruin your cookout.
Yeah, it would ruin the burger for sure. It could burn it.
Yeah, the burger too.
Right, for sure.
Shannon's priorities. Don't ruin my food.
Don't ruin the burger. Don't burn the burger. And also don't hurt yourself. That's important too.
That's also important too. Those of you heading out today, maybe not the best of grilling days as we have those showers and storms across the region, but we're going to be watching how things improve as the day goes along. So we're watching this line of scattered storms that has started to form anywhere from parts of Meade County off towards our west. This is that line I'm talking about right here. This can continue to push through portions of Kentucky as the morning goes along, so we'll watch to see how that evolves. Overall, though, we're continuing to keep an eye on some spotty showers anywhere from northern Greene County all the way into Washington County. One lonely shower now showing up for those of you in Bullitt County. Additional downpours now moving out, thankfully, for those of you in Franklin County. You've seen an incredible amount of rain over the past 2 days. This is why you still have that flood advisory in effect until 9 a.m. A few more spotty showers in portions of Oldham County, a little bit of light rain in the more northern fringes of Trimble County towards the Madison area as well, and some more of those downpours from parts of Scott County into Lawrence County with some drizzle in Jennings County. So many of us getting in on some of these spotty showers and thunderstorms as this front just lingers across the region. It's going to be incredibly clingy over the next couple of days, and that's part of the reason why we're going to see some more of those showers and thunderstorms coming our way. For those of you drier right now, you're getting in a little bit of blue sky. So yes, some of you already seeing some sunshine through those clouds for this morning, and that is going to be the trend for the rest of the day, by the way. Your temperatures are sitting in the low 70s in most spots. We'll watch for those scattered showers and thunderstorms that we're dealing with right now, gradually trying to push off towards the east as the morning goes along. But some of these isolated showers will linger through the lunch hour and into the early afternoon. Many of us, though, for today, going to see that mix of sun and clouds with temperatures climbing into the mid to upper 80s for your highs. Now, south of 64 as we get through the afternoon with those temperatures rising, this is where we can see more of those showers and thunderstorms trying to pop. They can produce some very heavy rainfall, some gusty winds as they move on by, especially for those of you along and south of the parkways. Once we head into the overnight hours, a few more of those isolated downpours will be around. So some of us, as I mentioned, bone dry, just with a bit of sunshine through those clouds for the rest of the day, while others can see half an inch to an inch to even 2 inches of rainfall. It just will depend on the storms for later on this afternoon, where they set up shop, and if we get repeated rounds of rainfall over the same areas. With the atmosphere as just waterlogged as it is and that heavy rainfall coming down, as that happens, we can end up with some very strong wind gusts, and that is why marginal risk of severe weather is in place for those of you south of 64. Here is your 10-day. More of those showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for tomorrow. We'll be keeping an eye on the scattered storms pretty early in the morning. Then again, once we head into the afternoon and evening, notice we get a decent break from the rainfall for tomorrow morning before we deal with additional rounds of showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon with that potential for even stronger storms for Saturday evening, especially as we get closer to the 7, 8 o'clock hour. We'll monitor that with all the events going on this weekend. We have a marginal risk of severe weather for those of you north of 64 because of the damaging wind threat that could come along with some of those fading thunderstorms for Saturday night. So a lot to watch with that, and I'll be especially keeping an eye on those rain chances for that Lou City matchup for tomorrow evening as they take on FC Tulsa. A lot of people outside, of course, you want to make sure that you're watching the radar for that. We also have Summerfest going on tomorrow. We have a number of events, so if you're doing anything outdoors for this weekend, you want to make sure that you're staying very much weather aware. Now, with high pressure nearby and all of these storms rotating around it for really the end of the weekend and into the beginning of next week, we'll see round after round of rain chances morning and afternoon into the evening as we get all the way towards your Wednesday. We'll heat up for the end of next week with highs back into the mid-90s then we'll talk about some more showers and thunderstorms for the following weekend.
Thank you, Tawana. Today, the Louisville Central Community Center is coming together to help young people. The group is hosting the 9th annual West Louisville Youth Empowerment Summit. It starts at 9 at the community center's offices on West Muhammad Ali Boulevard. The summit will tackle a number of topics, including community safety, violence prevention, and creating positive change that will help kids. We'll be right back with more Wave Sunrise Extra right after this.
Here's what's good. So many people follow the story of a little team in Southwest Louisville that defeated Japan in the 2002 Little League World, but the program has struggled since reaching the top of the sport.
I certainly remember watching that moment too way back then. Wave News anchor Dawn G sat down with a former player who wants to revitalize the team.
If you start to rebuild it.
So it's kind of like a restart, you know, it's like a renaissance where everything's kind of restarted again.
They will come.
You know, over the course of 4 or 5 years, it's kind of had a rebirth, and the community has just dug in, you know, wholeheartedly.
Valley Sports American Little League, home of the 2002 Little League World Champions in Southwest Louisville, had seen better days.
The structures, they were riddled with graffiti. You know, they probably hadn't been painted in years. It was just very dull, not inviting. You know, it's not an environment that when you bring your kid up here that you'd be excited about. There was busted windows in some of the press boxes, and squirrels had just taken it over.
It looked like it had struck out.
And this was a pillar in the South End for forever, you know, for a long time. I grew up playing here. My family grew up playing here. So my childhood, my core memories, so many of them happened here.
Now, Matt Payton, former Valley sports player, now firefighter and father, was at bat and agreed to take on the role of president of the league. October 2020, right in the middle of COVID.
And my immediate response was, no way. The next day I said, hey, I'm going to do it. None of this would have been able to get accomplished without the help of everybody around here. This whole area just stepped up and just, stepped up to the plate.
It wasn't just the community painting, building, and buffing that made it shine. The kids have knocked it out of the park, too.
Our first state champion last year in coach pitch, first state champion we've probably had as a league, and I couldn't tell you the last time. Also had a 12-year-old softball team this year win district, and they competed at state. And as of 2 years ago, we didn't even have softball. Now we got an 11 and 12 team that has, for the first time since 2010, won district.
The team will now take a swing at the state tournament. But Peyton knows it's about more than just the win.
It's not just the game, it's learning how to be a good person when they get done playing the game. It's not necessarily about your kid becoming the best baseball player or the best softball player. It's about the attributes you can learn that the game teaches.
The Valley Sports 12 and under major baseball team heads to the Kentucky State Tournament Friday evening. Their games start Saturday morning at 10, and they can use any help. So if you'd like to make a last-minute donation or sponsorship, you can do so. You can also download an app to watch the team. For more information, just go to wave3.com.
U of L students will now have to pay a $200 athletic fee per semester. It applies to all full-time in-person undergraduate and graduate students. Students who pay the fee will be able to request men's football and basketball tickets. If demand doesn't exceed supply, every student will get a ticket. And if there aren't enough tickets for everyone, students will be entered into a lottery to decide who gets the tickets. All other home-ticketed sports will be followed by a first-come, first-served claim process. One of Louisville's quirkiest and most cherished traditions is just weeks away. The 55th Annual World Championship Dainty Contest is happening July 26th through the 28th. Right now, it's right in the heart of Schnitzelburg, and contestants celebrate heritage, friendly competition, and good old-fashioned fun. Players 45 years and older test their skill at playing dainty to see who can launch it the farthest. Guests can also enjoy some live music, food, and drinks from local brands. That is always such fun to watch.
I know.
It looks so easy.
It looks so easy, but it's not.
I've heard.
Really
I've
hard.
never tried. I'm not 45 or older.
Okay, good for you.
Hey, I'm not complaining. I want to play, but
Maybe
I'm okay
I should
with
join.
it.
All right, quick break. We're going to be back with a look at local news and weather.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good Friday morning. I'm Shannon Kogan at 7:26. And developing this morning, police say a man is in critical condition after he was shot several times. LMPD says it happened around 4 o'clock this morning on Moore Court, not far from the Park Hill Community Center. The man is now in the hospital and police are searching for the shooter. If you know anything about this, call the anonymous tip line at 574 LMPD. Here's Tawana. Boy, we had a record amount of rain come down in the metro yesterday.
Yeah, and we're watching more of that rainfall across parts of the region this morning, seeing some more of those spotty showers anywhere from Breckinridge County, also into portions of Marion, Greene, and parts of Taylor County getting in on some of these spotty showers. You're thankfully drying out right now in Franklin County, where you saw some incredibly heavy rain, but a few more spotty showers in parts of Henry County, into northern parts of Carroll County, and eastern Jefferson County in Indiana, and a couple more isolated downpours near Seymour and Bedford and Butlerville. Your temperatures are in the 60s and low 70s to start off the day. As we continue throughout the rest of the day, we'll see more of those scattered showers and thunderstorms popping up for later on this afternoon. Keep in mind, some of these can produce some very heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, so we'll be watching that. Outside of that, a mix of sun and clouds with highs in the 80s. So some of you getting a decent amount of sunshine through those clouds today, while others have to deal with more of those downpours. Now, keep in mind, we're dealing with a couple of issues on the roads as of right now. We are watching one showing up for those of you traveling on 64 eastbound near Cannons Lane. The left lane is blocked there because of a crash, so keep that in mind. Seeing some slow speeds in that area. Also seeing some more slow speeds on 265 for those of you traveling westbound near Smyrna Parkway. This is where we have the leftovers of a crash earlier this morning. That's off towards the side and slowing down traffic, and another crash on 64 near the Snyder that has the left lane blocked.
And thank you for sticking with us here on Sunrise Extra. I'm Olivia Russell. Plenty of other headlines we want to get to this morning, including a man accused of killing a teenager and injuring 2 others in California Park will stay in jail on a $500,000 bond. 19-year-old Sean Grady pleaded not guilty to complicity to murder charges, assault, and attempted murder charges. Police say Grady and a group of teens were playing basketball when he and two others took out guns and shot and killed a 14-year-old. Grady is also accused of shooting two other teens who were trying to run from the gunfire. Grady is also facing separate gun and drug charges in Floyd County. We've been reporting on a recent surge of teen and gun violence in Louisville. One group of neighbors wants to put their plans into motion for real change. But the group's president says it's up to the community to put in the work to make it all happen. The president of Community Connections, James Linton, says Louisville is in a state of emergency. The group identified 30 things to help slow down youth violence, including mentorship, mental health, and job training. 25 organizations throughout Louisville have committed to coming together in the effort. Linton says what's critical is involvement from the community. He says it's crucial for them to be on board with the improvements and that we're all becoming too used to violence.
First, you become desensitized because it happens so much. And then you have to realize this is not a natural process, okay? This is not supposed to happen on a daily basis. The question would be, are you satisfied with what you see happening in our neighborhoods? Are you satisfied with what's happening in our cities? Call me, let's talk about it.
So anyone passionate about helping with youth violence is invited to help out. They have more information on how to get involved in this story on our website, wave3.com. Renters in Meade County are fed up. They're going as far as to protest and say their apartments are unlivable. Tenants at Maple Grove Apartments in Brandenburg gathered outside of their leasing office to say their property managers have neglected to fix some major issues in their units. So now they've formed a union. Wave News reporter Logan Perrone talked to those tenants, and he spent some time looking at other tools that renters have to protect their rights.
This is what we think about union busting.
The people who call Maple Grove Apartments home are fired up and using fire to make it known.
They don't hold up their end of the lease. We give them our money and they don't do what they're supposed to.
Tenants burned eviction notices Thursday, claiming property management company OSPM has failed to upkeep their homes. They say the company has been targeting them since forming a union.
They refuse to fix anything. Most of our requests get ignored. We've had people turn in complaints and turn in work orders, and the manager will just throw them in the trash can.
While it may feel like renters have little power, Legal Aid Society senior attorney Grace Chambers says that's not the case.
A lot of the times renters feel like they have no rights and that they are not equal to their landlords when it comes to their legal rights, their legal protections, and their legal options. And that is simply not true.
The organization's Tenants' Rights Manual provides a comprehensive guide covering a wide range of situations: landlord access to your unit, lease changes, and repairs or maintenance. Property owners are required to provide electricity services and heat and maintain air conditioning if they offer it.
You really need to know, that's your driver's manual for being a tenant, right? And you need to know that before you get behind the wheel.
The Tenants' Right Manual outlines how residents can make repairs out of pocket and deduct that cost from the rent. It also encourages tenants to unionize. The action Maple Grove residents hope will get them solutions.
This is the only thing that's going to make change around here, is us banding together.
And we have a link to the Tenants' Rights Manual in this story on wave3.com. As for Maple Grove Apartments, their management told us they have no comment about the union. Seymour Fire says its newest ladder truck will now be a tribute for a child killed in a farming accident. Ladder 3 was named in honor of 4-year-old Maverick Lee Finn. He's the son of Seymour firefighter Mitchell Finn and the grandson of the fire lieutenant. Maverick died after being hit by a tractor back in June. In light of the tragic accident, the family has created an awareness initiative known as the Maverick Minute. Its purpose is to remind farmers to pause, look around, and stay safe to avoid any potential disasters. The European Union says it will retaliate with tariffs on U.S. goods, and that includes bourbon. It's in response to President Trump's plan to place 30% tariffs if no trade deal is reached by August 1st. The last bourbon tariffs cost distillers millions of dollars. But for bourbon fans in Louisville, people say the tariffs have had no impact. According to Louisville Tourism, in 2024, the Urban Bourbon Trail tracked nearly 1 million visitors to Louisville locations. 13 years ago, the city Kentucky had just one bourbon attraction, but by 2026, there will be 25.
25 new bourbon attractions. There is no other city in America that is investing in attractions at the rate we are here in Bourbon City. We have a great culinary scene, we have other iconic attractions, but bourbon is still that one differentiating point that sets us apart from our competition.
A lot of people coming to town to experience Kentucky bourbon, that's for sure. Again, the deadline for a trade agreement with the EU is August 1st. The Distilled Spirits Council of the United States is hoping for an eventual return to the days when there were no tariffs on both sides of the Atlantic. Well, we've heard about the measles outbreak happening throughout the country. More than a dozen cases reported in Kentucky so far, and one case reported in Jefferson County. Now the Metro Health Department is warning people who shopped on the Kroger on Dixie Highway and PRP on July 9th they may have been exposed to the measles. Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Franceschini talked with a local pediatrician about what parents need to know about keeping kids safe, especially for those kids who are too young for the vaccine.
I never thought this was going to be happening. I mean, we probably have one provider here that's really ever seen measles.
That's how rare Dr. Kyle Sloan, a pediatrician with Kaplan Barron Pediatrics in Louisville, says the measles disease has been for decades. But now that the Metro has reported its first case in more than a decade, Dr. Sloan wants people to make sure they've got their MMR vaccine.
These shots have been out for decades and shown a very good safety profile.
Usually the first dose of the MMR vaccine is given when the child is between 12 and 15 months old. Dr. Sloan says it can be administered earlier if you're traveling to a country where there's an outbreak.
You can actually go to the CDC, type in the country you're going to. It'll pull up all the diseases in that country and all the recommendations.
A booster is then recommended when the child turns 4. But to give the booster to children before they are 4 years old, Dr. Sloan says the local health department would have to declare a measles outbreak in Louisville.
There has to be a lot more than one case here in town.
But even though the measles are still very rare in Kentucky, Dr. Sloan wants parents to take it seriously. He says not doing so could have a big impact on their children.
1 in 5 kids that get measles will end up in the hospital. But the really bad part is you can get encephalitis, which is inflammation and swelling of the brain, which can be very serious.
Now, typical measles symptoms include a very high fever, sneezing, coughing, and a rash. People experiencing those symptoms should call their doctors immediately, especially if you believe that you were exposed to measles at that Kroger store last month or earlier this month. Louisville Metro Housing Authority is helping the next generation of leaders further their education. 16 women received money through its scholarship program, a mix of moms, grandmothers, and first-generation college students. To earn the scholarship, though, students must live in public housing or receive Section 8 support. They must also write an essay, be enrolled as a full-time student, and go through an interview process.
Each $1,500 award is more than financial assistance. It's an investment in potential, in dreams, and in the future of our city.
Since 1987, LMHA says it's awarded $1.4 million of scholarships through the program. We'll be right back with more Sunrise Extra right after this. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem held a press conference at the Nashville airport yesterday. She announced new changes coming to airport security. Hopefully, this makes the airports a little bit less stressful. Braden Ross reports.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem came to Nashville Thursday to talk about air travel.
The Trump administration is working very hard to make sure that we're not only maintaining and implementing and enhancing all of our security protocols, but that we're also making travel more enjoyable.
But before she even set foot behind the podium at Nashville International Airport, she faced pressure from one state official about a different issue.
I want to get answers from my constituents who've been harassed and who've been brutalized by ICE here in Nashville.
Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones says he showed up to Noem's press conference intending to listen and ask questions about ICE detentions in Nashville. He was allowed in by both airport officials and police, but Department of Homeland Security personnel turned him away from the press conference, saying he wasn't invited and didn't RSVP.
I'm here to do my job, so I appreciate you, and I hope you understand me. And I think it's in your job too.
Jones questioned officials about why he was being asked to leave for nearly 10 minutes before leaving and watching the press conference from outside the designated area.
So I'm going to leave willingly because this is not on the police or the airport staff. This is on Secretary Noem, who refuses to answer questions.
Noem spoke about the latest updates to airport security, including the recent change allowing passengers to keep their shoes on during screenings and a new policy creating a special security line just for families with young children. She also highlighted the honor lane at BNA, which allows active duty military and their families expedited access through checkpoints. After her remarks, Noem faced questions about immigration enforcement, including about recent deportation flights sending immigrants to third-party countries like El Salvador and South Sudan.
And what are you doing to make sure that the entire deportation process is humane, both while they're being deported here and once they
I wish one
get...
of you today would have asked about some of the families that actually lost somebody because of an illegal criminal.
But do you believe they should be treated humanely?
I think everybody's being treated humanely. Absolutely. Once they are out of the United States, it is not our responsibility to make sure that we have jurisdiction over them.
The White House press secretary says President Trump has chronic venous insufficiency. She made that announcement and said that's why his ankles sometimes look swollen. Doctors say the condition is not overly concerning as long as it doesn't lead to or indicate more serious issues. The White House says President Trump's medical team tested for those extensively and found nothing. The White House also acknowledged bruising on President Trump's hand, but health analysts say it's probably unrelated and unconcerning. KET says it will not broadcast this year's Fancy Farm picnic as a result of federal funding cuts. KET says it's extremely disappointed they won't be at Fancy Farm to showcase the unofficial kickoff of Kentucky's political season. Fancy Farm offers a platform for speakers to deliver fiery political speeches. The public broadcast channel says it will share more updates on how it will manage the loss of federal funding in the coming weeks. Fancy Farm will happen on August 2nd this year. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says the Democratic Party has to make changes if it wants to win back voters. Right now, Beshear is hosting a speaking tour in several states with Republican leadership. While speaking in South Carolina yesterday, Beshear said there's a lot of work to do.
The Democratic Party definitely has a job to do to re-earn the faith of the American people. We can't be running after every outrage of the day. The most important thing we can do is be laser focused on people's jobs, their next doctor's appointment, the roads and bridges they drive, the school they drop their kids off at, and whether they feel safe in their community. That's the way we earn back the faith of those people who are down on the party.
Several other high-profile Democrats have been visiting South Carolina. California Governor Gavin Newsom was there last week. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Last summer, the live-action film of How to Train Your Dragon won over moviegoers. I have to admit, I haven't seen it, but it got great reviews. And now the film has bonus features, and you can watch them at home, including some deleted scenes. Mark Barger has more and talked to the film's director about the process of deciding what actually makes it on screen.
The nature of movie making
Oh no, I'm good.
is that not everything makes the final cut.
There's an old editing adage of when in doubt, cut it out.
That's why moviegoers did not see a finished version of this scene in How to Train Your Dragon.
Unfortunately, it's brutal because the scenes that get deleted have just as much love and craftsmanship poured into them as any other.
The pace of storytelling and the length of the film are among the considerations in what stays and what goes.
If the narrative can survive without the scene, then maybe it shouldn't be there.
But director Dean DeBlois rescued scenes like this one.
Everything we know about you guys is wrong.
From the cutting room floor for the bonus features in Dragon's home entertainment release.
Everything we know about them is wrong.
DeBlois directed the original animated film, which gave him a head start on the live-action transition.
I wanted to make sure that, as best I could, we managed to preserve the sense of wonder and the earned emotions, and not have it feel like a costume play.
Having leads in Mason Thames and Nico Parker, who grew up with Hiccup and Astrid, helped.
We saw sparks in the chemistry reads when we first put them together, and they were really able to bring something personal to their performances that lit up the screen.
And being on that screen still stuns them.
The fact that it's even a movie that is out and exists to the world is still kind of constantly mind-blowing to me.
And their minds were further blown seeing the recreation of the film's Isle of Berk at Universal's Epic Universe.
But seeing it in person is maddening.
It's maddening.
It's so big and it's so detailed and it's so honestly true to what we were filming with. It kind of felt like stepping back onto set, except this set had roller coasters.
Dragon fans get a wild ride either way. Mark Barger, NBC News.
So if you're like me and you haven't seen it yet, or hey, maybe you want to watch it again, good news here. It is available to watch at home now, and a sequel for the film is now in the works. So switching gears to something I'm a little bit more up to date on. Today, UK fans can see some of their favorite former players return to the court because the TBT basketball kicks off today. The UK alumni team, known as La Familia, includes the Harrison twins, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Deron Lamb, who were part of the 2012 National Championship team. The team will open play against Stroh's squad today in Lexington, and tip-off for that game is scheduled for 9 o'clock tonight. As for the Cards, the U of L alumni team, the Ville, will start their TBT journey. They open play at Freedom Hall, hosting Boston versus Cancer. Tip-off for that game is tomorrow at 12:30, and the winners of the entire tournament will be given $1 million prize. They get to split that amongst the players. JCPS is celebrating its student athletes before the school year starts. An athletics block party is being held at the Norton Healthcare Sports and Academic Complex tomorrow morning. That starts at 10 o'clock, and the party will feature games, giveaways, a motivational speaker, and booths on how to kick off the new sports season. Good luck to all those athletes competing. And we know the first day of school is just around the corner, and so many kids start the school year without the school supplies they need, but you have a chance to help out here because Wave News, the Neighborhood Place, and Furniture Fair have teamed up to collect donations of school supplies for our local students. So you can drop off supplies at either Furniture Fair location from now until July 30th, and all of those donations will be given to local kids so they can start off the school year on the right foot. Well, that's all the time we have here for Wave Sunrise Extra. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend, too. Time for me to go grab some extra coffee this morning. We'll see you next week.